should be sufficient. Now I just need to light it, and just like that, we're ready. So, let's hop through. Salutations and welcome back to my Minecraft Hardcore series. This is episode 15. My name is GOJIRACELL, I'm your host, so let's begin. Well, as promised, we have now made our way on our journey through to the version 1.17. There really isn't any proof around here at the moment, except I began working on a second hole because, as I mentioned, that cactus farm isn't going to be enough. And right down here, you can observe the new iron ore texture. I hope that's all the proof that you need. Of course, if this isn't enough proof, I can always just mine it and show you the raw iron that I get. And there we go. I have raw iron, which can only be obtained in Minecraft 1.17. Therefore, you should definitely believe me. Forever and for always, I will at all times speak the truth. And in the time intervening between episodes, I have also gone ahead and taken the liberty of converting all of the iron ore that I had before into actual iron. So as you can see here, we now have, some would say, an overabundance of iron blocks. For this project, I am not certain if there'll be enough, but I feel that I probably won't have to do very much mining more, even if they aren't enough. Of course, whether or not they are or aren't enough can only really be determined by continuing with the project, which is what we must get to right now. I am not going to continue it by digging another hole because that would be monotonous and boring. I'm going to probably do that off camera because, again, monotonous and boring. I'm instead going to transition into a more technical part of this entire experience farm, the bamboo part. You see, farming bamboo is nowhere near as easy and simple as farming cacti. With cacti, you can just leave it like that. It's a passive farm. There's nothing you really need to do. Just put a fence next to the cactus and it'll break and you can collect it. However, for the bamboo, you need to set up a little bit of redstone. What I need to do is make a lot of things with this iron and with some of this redstone and also with a little bit of this gold. And using these items, in addition to all this cobblestone that I've collected as well, I will be able to make a large quantity of pistons, a few observers, which also need quartz, which I forgot in my base, and rails. But first let me go retrieve that quartz I mentioned. Before we craft all of these resources up into observers and pistons and rails and all of minecarts and all of this stuff, I would actually like to get a sense of just how many of each of the things that I just named I'm going to need. And to do that, I'm going to have to lay kind of a foundation of a bamboo farm. I will probably put this bamboo farm over here on this side, which means I'm going to have to clear out a lot more of this, granted, shallow water, but it's still a long task, which is why I'm not going to show any of it because, again, monotonous and boring. So I will see you in just a second. And here we are. It is a very bare bones blueprint, but it kind of captures the idea of what I need to do. Essentially, I'm going to have 4 rows, in quotation marks, of bamboo. Each of these will actually be 2 rows, 1 bamboo shoot on each block. And all it took was an almost full inventory of dirt. And now I know exactly how many pistons and observers I need. I need 2 stacks of pistons and 1 stack of observers. And look at this, hey, I've already crafted them, so there's no need to do that anymore. However, what I do need to figure out is exactly how many rails I'm going to need. And in order to do this, I'm going to have to dig out a space underneath all of these rows. And now that we have cleared this area out, we must immediately fill it in with stone. And finally, we start to install the rails, and we have to be very careful about how we go about this, Because if we aren't careful, then the rails get messed up and I have to go through a whole process to fix them. And I've just made a very foolish mistake by crafting 3 stacks of powered rails when I only used 2 and a bit stacks of regular rails to do all of this, so I don't know what I'm thinking. Either way, it's not that big a deal. I can always get more gold and redstone and stuff. It can just be a little bit annoying. And just like that, we have completed the first iteration of this track. We're going to have to make a few modifications, most likely. However, first, we need to test it out. And of course, as I'm always prepared, I have a minecart inside of my inventory already. So I can easily, there they are. I think that this track will work just fine. It will be a little bit noisy, of course, because minecarts are always noisy. But there really isn't much I can do about that except for turn the game volume off, and then I can't hear anything at all. And some of Minecraft's sounds are quite lovely. This is not one of them. For now, we will remove the minecart. Our next step is actually a collection system because, of course, I don't really have a collection system. Obviously, I have a minecart. I can put a hopper in the minecart. It'll collect the bamboo, but then it really won't go anywhere. So I need to create a system that will take the bamboo out of the hopper minecart and put it somewhere that I can use it to smelt the cacti. And this is another one of the reasons that I gathered so much iron, because I'm going to need a lot of hoppers. Now, I can't pretend that I'm any sort of genius when it comes to redstone mechanics. However, I do dabble occasionally, and hopefully I can create a system that will function to the best of its ability to collect all of the bamboo, and most importantly, get it out and into the upcoming array that will smelt it. What I'm trying to get at is I am going to need to do a little bit of testing. So theoretically, if we have this minecart, we push it like this, it will go around the track, just like this, then it will come to this powered rail, and it will stop on top of it because the powered rail has no power source at the moment. What I can then do is place a hopper underneath it, like that, and then if I make this a hopper minecart instead, it will stop, put all of the things from the hopper minecart into the hopper, and then they'll drain out of the hopper into whatever the hopper is connected to, which will be a dropper. The only issue is then it's just stopped and not going around the track anymore, so I need to figure out a way to restart it. I have no clue how to do that. So this little circuit is probably not the best out there, but it gets the job done. Essentially, you put in any bunch of materials to this dropper, and it will continue spitting out materials until, and I'm going to speed this process up here a little bit, until it is completely empty of materials. All of them have been dropped, and it remains inactive until it receives more materials. So if I throw them in this hopper, it'll spit out that redstone dust, and then I can put a water stream, blah blah blah, whatever. That all's fine. It still doesn't answer the question of how to activate this once all of that is over. We place this comparator, and now it will see a minecart with things in it. Except, of course, I decided to already set up the thing underneath it. So I need to disable that before, or I need to get rid of the hopper here, and I need to stop breaking things above this hopper, and everything's a mess. Okay. Be back in a second. Okay, we're back. Things have stopped being terrible, and we now have our hopper with minecart here again. We place a bunch of stone in it, and this comparator doesn't detect anything at all. Okay, well, that's excellent news. So we know that that won't work. Well, this has certainly turned into a hideous monstrosity, and the best part is it doesn't even function correctly, so I think I might have to go with one of my older designs here. What I was trying to do here was utilize this design over here to stop the minecart when it reaches this point, cause it to just stay put until it had emptied all of its contents, and then restart and continue on. But this module didn't work originally, so I tried to make it go higher and then lose all of its momentum so it would just fall to rest there. That still doesn't really work very well. The only way it really works is if I cause the minecart to reverse direction, come all the way back over here, stop, and then it will start going back around, so it kind of ping-pongs out, and then back, and out, and then back. So essentially I'm just going to rip this down and replace it with a system of completely my own design. This little section was actually created by Impulse SV in one of his videos. I might decide to link that if I'm feeling generous. Now, this part is essentially the same. We just put this hopper in like this, and that creates this little module here. And then I just run a bunch of hoppers out like this, so it just collects bamboo as it goes along the track. I also delete a few of the powered rails along here so that it starts going slower, so that it actually empties more of the contents than it would if it were just going at its normal rate of pace with all these powered rails around. And I might have to remove these powered rails as well, because this pace might not be slow enough. Let's just try. Let's say that in one full go around, it will get, I don't know, 15 bits of bamboo. Because obviously this is bamboo, it's not a cubic meter of stone. I don't know what you're talking about. So if we put that inside the hopper minecart, push it along, it gains speed, it goes along, and for some reason we only get one. So if we set our minecart out again, we have 15 pieces of bamboo in it once more. It will travel through and again put out one piece of stone. They're all inside of here. Ah, I understand what is happening now. The issue that we're seeing here is that this redstone block is powering the hopper, and when a hopper is powered, it locks, which means that any item inside of it gets stuck there. So let's try this again. 15 pieces of bamboo. We will throw them on the tracks, just like that. And 7 pieces of the 15 bamboo have been they've been dropped by the dropper. And also, for some reason, it manages to get apparently 2 extra pieces of bamboo as it passes by here, so that's interesting. And there go the rest. I would like to make it not do that. I would like to make it so that it dispenses all 15. I'm not certain how few powered rails we need to have in this system for the minecart to actually slow down, but it's clear that I don't need nearly as many as I have. I think that I just might have done it, and it only took removing rails from approximately half of the entire track, but as you can see, it slowed down. And I think that was all of the bamboo inside of it. Yep. Or not. There was an extra 2 hidden in there. Still, that's 15 bamboo per cycle, which I guess is kind of what I said I wanted. I would prefer it if it got all of the bamboo out of its system in the one go. Okay, now things might seem like completely different, but don't worry, there are only really 2 main changes that have occurred so far. One is that I improved this design slightly by simply adding a bunch more hoppers. As you can see, I don't remember how many hoppers I added, but there are a lot here. And so now, on one go around, the minecart will dispense around 30, 36-ish pieces of bamboo. The other main change is this part. All of these rows now have these kind of angle bits going in. And this is really just a frame that I'm going to use to put the redstone that I'm going to do on. And it works just like this. On top of this block, we place a line of redstone dust. Then on this block, we place a line of pistons. And on top of the pistons, we place the observers. And instead of doing one on each block, I decided to do one every other block, because ultimately it isn't really important that every single piece of bamboo that's growing on every block gets detected. It's just important that eventually it triggers, and this way I can save a few resources. Finally, I also put in a little bit of glowstone just to make sure that everything stays nice and bright inside of these chambers. And so, just as a test, as you can see, it works perfectly. It does trigger the entire row, which is why I can use an observer every other block, because just one piece of bamboo will cause all of the pieces of bamboo to be broken. Although I think that it probably doesn't reach all the way down the line. Let me test this. So if we place 2 pieces of bamboo and then wait for this one to grow. Okay, I wasn't paying attention, but I'm sure that after rewatching the footage, I'll be able to tell myself whether or not it works. So if it does work all the way down the row, hooray. If it doesn't work, I don't really care because it doesn't matter that much. Anyways, on to the rest of them. And there we have it. Every single row is filled in to the brim with all of the redstone components that I need. Finally, we have to install all of the bamboo shoots, and then we can get the minecart up and rolling. And this entire module will be functioning. Now we get the minecart a-rolling. Off it goes. And hopefully it will never stop, though thankfully I should be able to fix it if it ever does stop. And the final step, we have to make a place for all of the bamboo that comes out of this to go. Just place this water and seal it up. And we have created another rudimentary collection system, much similar to that one, where all of the bamboo from this farm will go. And there we are. This farm is done. I'm going to cover things up a little bit more, just seal everything up, because I think it looks better when the redstone is not all over the place exposed. And there we go. It's all covered up, and it looks like a piece of a plastic interlocking brick system. It also looks really ugly. In the time intervening while I was covering everything up, we have generated a very large quantity of bamboo, though it hasn't quite overtaken our cacti because they've been around for longer. It seems that we are going to need to expand our cactus storage, but that will have to wait for another day. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed and stay safe. Goodbye!